how to help with cheating anxiety. So I'm guessing with cheating anxiety, you're referencing you have anxiety towards people cheating on you. And that's very, very normal and understandable. Everything that you experience in your life is going to give you some sort of feedback, some sort of feeling, and the emotional feeling is the feedback. But what's going to happen is your reality is going to show you your internal world. Your reality is a mirror of that. So if you're feeling something towards a certain thing, then that's communication. If you have anxiety over someone cheating on you, that is feedback. That's communication for you to understand that there's a part of you that is concerned from being abandoned. Now, it's very normal to have anxiety over someone cheating, especially if you've been cheated on before. But it doesn't necessarily mean that's the only way that it can be created. It's about the what does it represent? If someone cheats on me, what does that represent? Well, it represents, and it means that I have been abandoned. It also means I'm not good enough. It also means that I'm unlovable. It also means that I'm not desirable. Now, those can all, it's very common and very logic to be like, well, yeah, for someone to cheat, it's very obvious that that is the answer. The answer is, I don't feel desirable. I don't feel, but also that is the case as we're children. And let's say dad moves out because my parents have split up. And now I still feel like I am undesirable because I have been abandoned. It can be not even necessarily a broken family. It can be just being scolded. I'm constantly being punished. I'm being told that I shouldn't feel the way that I am, which makes me not good enough, which is an abandonment within myself, to myself as well. So in the moment you're having anxiety in regards to cheating, it doesn't necessarily mean it comes from being cheated on. It can also be deep rooted. And, even if you have been cheated on, again, it's deeper rooted than that as well. Doesn't mean it doesn't play a role in terms of, I need to go to the parts of myself that feel abandoned. I need to understand those parts of myself. I need to feel that fear of abandonment, to let it release. I need to understand why this part of me has given the meaning and the understanding that I am not good enough, that I am unlovable, that someone will abandon me. And we have a relationship to ourselves. So the meanings that we give, even if someone abandons me physically, externally, it's all to do with the meaning that I give. So if someone in my life goes, I'm done with you, don't want anything to do with you, it really depends on the meaning that I give to that. So there are parts of you that I've already given these meanings. Understand them, meet their needs. Eventually, the more you do that, the more you validate, the more you integrate. It doesn't matter what someone will do, their actions, even if they do abandon you, because we can't control what anyone else does. We can't take anyone's free will, but we can have a huge role in how we deal with it and how we see things, what meanings we're giving. So this isn't about trying to force yourself to change how you feel or what you're thinking. It's about understanding the parts of yourself that are coming up, feeling them, integrating, validating, as well as creating new meanings. But it's about going towards the feeling of anxiety about cheating. And the more and more you do that, the more your reality will reflect the new meanings you have, the new way that you are treating yourself. Your reality is a direct reflection of how you're treating yourself, mainly how you are unconsciously treating yourself, not necessarily consciously. which means you have to bring the unconscious into your conscious awareness, which is how you would, and the way you do that is by going towards these feelings. Should I reach out and tell her I know? I don't know what that means. So I think if you could ask again, can you do a freestyle? Like rapping? No. Can I ask you a question? Do you wipe from the front or the back to the front? These are not really the type of questions that I usually get, but I still like them. I did use your trauma therapy program. Changed my life. Amazing. I'm so glad. Aaron, you're very welcome. I'm so glad. Honestly, when people reach out and they're like, your content, your videos, your course changes my life, helps me, it's exactly what I go for. So I love hearing things like that. Thank you so much. Was cheated on? Yeah. I'm getting these comments late, but yeah, I'm glad I was able to go deep into that. I'm 63 and you have helped me so much with regarding to childhood trauma. Thank you for being you. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I'm so glad, Wendy. Thank you. How does one deal with betrayal, trauma from someone you loved? Can't seem to let it go. So again, it's really, this seems to be the theme at the moment. Because obviously cheating is betrayal to a degree as well. So the betrayal trauma is the same. It's abandonment. It's okay. I know the goal is to let go. Okay. But it's like, what does that even mean? We need to understand what letting go means. And it's completely okay if you're in a place where you feel like you can't let go, because letting go essentially means going towards your pain. You cannot let go without going through your pain. And I don't mean bulldozing through it. I mean feeling it. And it's completely okay that can be overwhelming. That's very, very normal and understandable. And if you don't know how to let go, then your attempt of letting go is just going into your pain and staying there and feeling your pain. So it is completely okay that if you're not learned how to integrate, how to heal, how to resolve the emotional distress that you've experienced in the past, it is completely okay. So first of all, give yourself a break, because it's one of the things that we do is that we beat ourselves up for not being able to let go, not being able to do something. That is completely normal. But it's the same path as what I said earlier. I don't know if you were here when I was talking, Shauna. It's about going towards the feelings that are coming up in the moments where you may be triggered to feel something based on betrayal. Now, that might mean it could be something as small as someone choosing someone else over you. Not necessarily, I don't mean like a partner. I mean like, hey, do you want to jump in my car or jump in his car? So I'm going to jump in his car. And it's like, I can still feel terrible about that because I have this wound of betrayal within myself. Anything that would trigger that wound of betrayal in your reality is an opportunity for you to understand these parts of yourself more. It doesn't mean that you need to jump in the deep end of your pain, but one of the things that is going to be hugely beneficial for any human being is to learn how to use these opportunities, learn how to use the triggers that are coming up as opportunities in order to be able to understand these parts and do the work. And as you're doing the work, you're letting go. But it's about learning how to do the work. And I when I do these things or when I do videos and everything, everyone's like, oh, okay, well, how do you integrate? And it's like, it's asking a mechanic, give me a 1-sentence answer of how the car works, how the combustion engine works. Like, you can't. So the highest level form of way of explaining of what I need to do is resolve the unresolved emotional distress that you experienced throughout your life. in regards to betrayal. And that's happened in many different ways, in many different circumstances, and many different stages of your life. So you need to learn how your human being system, along with your human being system, the kind of consciousness of what you are, as you are the awareness of the consciousness, how everything together encompasses, works together in order for you to be able to resolve those unresolved, emotional distressful moments and experiences you've had in your life. The more you do that, that will get you to a place of letting go more and more and more and more. And then eventually you'll feel the difference like very quickly as well. But eventually you will feel vastly, vastly different, because that's how you work, and you're letting go of what you're holding on to, which is that pain. And again, your reality will start mirroring something else. Your voice is soothing. Thank you so much. Any advice for me as starting CBD soon? I mean, literally, my entire content of every single social media platform I have is advice. CBT is a good place to start. There are advanced levels, let's say, of integration, healing, self-awareness. I can try and explain something to someone who's just starting that would need more. So if CBT is something that like you're kind of being as a starting point, it's good. It's a good little starter to get into. But I would just like go further than CBT, because there is so much more to learn about yourself, and CBT unfortunately does not cover it at all. There is so much more. Morning, Alicia. Morning. Well, it is late afternoon here, so I don't know which part of the world you're in. How you deal with a man when his ego is big? After a fight, I'm the one breaking the ice to talk. That's a great question. You might not like my answer. For me, it's always about self-love. One of the best questions that I have always asked myself, and I always tell people to ask, and this is a question that I got from Teal Swan actually, which is, in moments like that, and I'm being very, very black and white here, but there's so many gray areas in this that it's insane. But in moments where, if I'm the one always giving, then I need to question that. Like, why am I always giving? And then am I going to continue always giving? And then in that moment, I would ask the question, which is, what would someone that loves themselves do? Because everything is towards self-love. Self-love is the opposite of self-abandonment. I will not abandon myself. Why am I going towards this behavior being okay? And maybe it's like, okay, well, every time I bring up that this behavior isn't okay, that creates more arguments. It's like, okay, well, I've tried that many times and that's not working. Like, why am I okay with that behavior? Why am I okay with my needs not even being talked about? Why am I always trying to break the ice and get back to a sense of normality when we've not resolved what I wanted to resolve? So I need to question myself, like, why am I okay with that? And that doesn't mean that you need to go straight into a state of leaving someone. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, just leave that person or everything. That could be an option depending on the individual, where you're at. Like it could be a fresh-ish relationship, or for someone else, it could be a marriage. This is not one brush for all. But question, why do I feel like I'm not allowed to have my needs met? Why do I feel like I'm not allowed to express myself? Why am I just okay with going by and not having my concerns validated. Why do I believe I can't have the type of relationship and scenario that I really want to have? And that might lead to different approaches of, like approaching the situation in a very different way. It might lead to deeper healing with yourself. It might lead to seeking counseling or something, maybe a couples counseling, which then eventually will. But like, why am I question the why? Why am I okay with this? And then we, more often than not, it's because that's what the early life that I had was like. As a child, my mom would ignore me after she was annoyed at me, and I'm just constantly trying to get her approval. So I was always going to her, and after like 2 days of being really annoyed and ignoring me, then she eventually started talking to me because I kept going to her. And for me, that's familiar. For me, that's normal. Whereas realistically, that's extremely unhealthy behavior, and that's not okay. But because that's been my reality, that's why I'm okay with it. And that's led me to believe, well, this is happening to me because I'm not good enough to, for someone to be like, hey, okay, we can talk about what you want to talk about. We can do what you want to do. So there are beliefs within me, along with a familiar behavior and relationship that I have learned is what normal is, or that I would think is okay, but it's not okay. And I'm getting to the stage now and I'm learning that it's not okay. So what am I going to do from here? And it doesn't mean you need to like explode on someone, and it doesn't mean that you need to break your relationship and end it all. But it's the starting point of that awareness for yourself. Okay, well, what am I going to do with this awareness? I could go, first of all, I need to go deep into it myself. I need to understand myself better, meet those unmet needs, feel whatever's coming up, to know where this comes from. And then I can change my behaviors. I can have stronger boundaries up. What does that look like? Then that might lead to, a threat from my partner. And it's like, okay, well, why do I believe that if my partner's threatening to leave me because I'm just setting boundaries, or I just want to talk about something that I find important about our relationship in order to grow, why am I okay? Or why is that okay with me? So there's so many questions to go in it, but always question yourself, always question the why. I hope that helped. So how do I let go? So again, letting go is required. I did talk about this earlier. It requires you to go towards what you're feeling, what's coming up. Letting go is essentially what we're letting go of is an unhealthy way that we're trying to meet an unmet need. We've had experiences in the past where it's been emotionally overwhelming for us, and the distress that we were experiencing was overwhelming for us. So what happens is that you essentially cannot handle that emotional distress in that moment. And because no one around you is understanding what's going on, because that's the time we live in, I always call it's the emotional dark ages. What happens is that emotional distress goes unresolved. And we are creatures of needs. So we have unmet needs in that moment. So we try to meet that need in a different way, whether that's using a cover emotion like anger to stay away from the pain of fear and despair. So we will project anger as a way to stay away from that pain, which is what was created from the emotional distress. Now, in order to let go, I have to feel what was once overwhelming for me. But by simply having the intention of feeling that, to go towards it, it's not going to be overwhelming for me. It's that emotion is going to vibrate at a completely different frequency. My overall frequency is going to be completely different because of my intention, the intention I have of going towards this emotion, this part of myself. So the more I'm in resistance to, let's say, fear. So a part of me, let's say, is carrying fear, and I don't even know it's fear. So I'm feeling that fear as a sensation of anxiety. Anxiety is a mask of a suppressed emotion. So something that's so unconscious to us will be triggered. And because it's so unconscious, it's giving the sensations, the physical sensations that we have come to call anxiety. So if I sit with that, and if I intentionally go towards this part of myself, so I sit with that, even though I'm going to feel the fear, and the fear might be, well, it's fear, it's meant to be scary, so it's going to be scary. Even though I sit with that and I stay there, it's not going to be as overwhelming and terrifying than if I was in resistance to it, but it was coming really, really close to me. So that intention of going towards it completely changes the feeling itself. The more you do that, the more you get used to learning how to feel emotions. Honestly, it's insane. I used to get woken up in the mornings from my anxiety. So my anxiety actually used to wake me up, and I got told that there was nothing I could do about it. I was told by a therapist that my anxiety, it's an anxiety disorder, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's ridiculous. That's completely not true, like at all. Anxiety is another feedback. It's communication. All emotions are. Everything in reality is. So it's about just learning what to do with that. And I was learning what to do with that. I decided to sit there, stay with this feeling of anxiety. I remember there was this one moment where it woke me up in the morning, and I was staying with my friend's house, and I was like, okay, fine. I'm just going to sit with it. So I sat up in my bed, and I just stayed there. I didn't go on my phone or anything like that. I just stayed there. And at that point, I was, okay, I'm going to do this for 1 minute at a time. Because that's how I actually, because it was terrifying for me. And I was like, okay, well, how am I going to do this where it's not as terrifying? So I said to myself, I'm just going to do it for 1 minute. I can survive 1 minute. 1 minute's all right. So I was timing it. I was like, all right, 1 minute. And I let it come over. And in that first split second, it was like the worst thing ever I thought it was going to be. But it wasn't. I don't know if you've ever like jumped in the pool or something like that, or done something where you just think it's going to be like this terrifying, horrible thing. But then once you're in it, you're like, oh, it's not that bad actually. And I remember just being in the fear, and I was observing myself in this fear, and I was observing what, how does this make my body feel? And it was, my stomach was like going in and out more, my chest, my heart was beating so much more. And the thoughts that I was having was like, I need to go get my friend because I'm terrified and I feel bad. And I was like, oh, I was observing that. I was like, oh, look, it's making me want to do that. It's making me want to go to my friend. And what else is it doing? I said, I want to stop. And I was like, but we said a minute, so it's okay. We're just going to do a minute. It's like, okay. And then I realized like, oh, I was talking to myself. I was talking to myself as if like someone was there talking to me. I was communicating with myself in a way where I felt like I had an adult, a parental figure, and I was a child. I was like, holy shit, this is so fascinating and interesting. And I realized I was really sad because I didn't have anyone who understood, and everyone in my life was just telling me how to fix it, how to, just all you need to do is this, and all you need to do is just get this done, and stop doing that. Oh my God, you keep doing that and it keeps making it worse. And so there was no one that was safe. And then I was like, oh, this is what I need. I just need someone to be there with me, be there through me with all of this stuff. And I realized that I was becoming that person for myself. And I was like, oh, I get this now. I can be that person for myself. I can coach myself through the really terrifying stuff that no one has ever been able to coach me through. So I started coaching myself. I was like, it's okay. Remember, we said 1 minute. We're just going to do that. And I was like, I was very aware that I wanted to start trusting myself again. So I was very aware that, like, no, I'm going to do 1 minute. I'm not going to push myself past 1 minute or anything, because I promised myself, because I'm terrified. And I realized that in my imagination, as I was doing it, I was an adult. I was a parental figure, but I was also a child. So I was like, oh, adult is not going to lie to the child. And I was like, this is how I'm providing myself safety. So after 1 minute, I stopped. And I was like, that was cool. I was like, I want to do that again. Because I provided myself with that safety, even though it was scary, it got me to a place of going, wow, I can do this. I can really, really do this. So I did it again. I was like, whenever it comes up again, we're just going to do 1 more minute, and that's okay. And then literally moments later, it started coming up again. I was like, and there was a little bit of excitement in me this time. I was like, woohoo, let's do it. Okay, cool. And then again, it went, and I was talking to myself. I was like, are you still there? And the parent part of me was like, yeah, I'm still here. Don't worry. It's okay. And it was a very soothing tone, soothing voice, talking to myself, being like, yeah, I mean, I've come to realize that that's the higher self part of me, but that is you. So you can absolutely be there for yourself when going towards these really overwhelming feelings, and they feel so overwhelming because you're in resistance to it. When you change your perception and you go towards it with the intention of, I'm going towards the child self that's coming up, to be there for you, to feel whatever you're feeling, oh, it just completely changes it. And you can do it. Every single human, honestly, you might see me on social media, on your phone all the time talking about all this stuff, but there is no difference between me and you. There is absolutely zero difference. We are human beings. Everything I can do, you can do. And the reason I'm as good as I am now with it is just because I've been doing it for longer. And I mean, this is so my passion. I'm fascinated with this stuff so much. So I'm constantly doing it. The tiniest thing that comes up, I'm like, oh, this means this and this and this and this. So and that's 100% of the day, all day. And if anyone else is like that, they'll be exactly the same as me. So there's nothing it's not like, oh, he can do it, but I can't do it. You 100% can. Absolutely can. You can absolutely do this. It's just about learning how to. It's literally why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's literally why it is, because I'm like, oh, everyone can do this. So the courses that I put online, the videos that I put online, the YouTube videos, these lives are just to teach people how to do this shit, because it's all doable and everyone can do it. I hope that helped. Joe, that was, to you. I acknowledge the moments of being betrayed, but how do I work through them? So again, everything that I'm basically saying is kind of like the answer to that. My husband's behavior caused me to ask for the divorce, and now I can't deal with the breakup. Yeah, this is very common, and is something that was a struggle of mine as well in the past. You kind of regret it, and it kind of long answer short, you're multiple parts, multiple personalities. Every single human is multiple personalities. And we only call it multiple personality disorder when it's really, really out of control. Now, your parts will have completely different desires, different wants, different behaviors, different beliefs. They've given different meanings. They have different, they will go towards different things. And they're all valid. Okay, so it's not like one part is valid and another one isn't. And it's, your parts will also have the exact opposite desires, the exact opposite beliefs, behaviors, and they're all valid, and they have to be valid. They have to be. You have to recognize the validity of all of them, even if it's against what you want, which you being another part of you, because you have to understand these parts of yourself. You have to understand why these parts of me have this desire, why these parts of me want to do this, and these other parts of me want to do this. And it's very, very normal and understandable that one part of you has wanted to divorce your husband because of toxic or unhealthy behaviors, or behaviors that you're not okay with anymore. But there are other parts of you that don't want that, because, I mean, to kind of broaden the reason, is because of unmet needs. They have unmet needs of love. There are beliefs that I'm undesirable, I'm unwanted, I'm rejected, I'm unloved, I'm not good enough, which are all being met and all being fed externally. And these are mainly met and fed externally from our romantic partners. And this is why everyone says it's about learning how to love yourself first. And this is why we abandon ourselves as well, because if our core beliefs and our needs are being met externally by someone else, then essentially they have a level of control over us. Because the reason we allow unhealthy behaviors to happen that we're not okay with is because this person is soothing the pain within myself that comes up. But then they'll do something that I'm not okay with. But it's like, yeah, but, they're soothing that pain, so I'll be okay with it. And then they do something else and say, yeah, but they're soothing that pain. Now, if they weren't soothing that pain, then I'd be like, hey, that shit will not fly with me anymore. That is not okay. The reason why the reason why people have strong boundaries is because they're not relying on others to be meeting a lot of these needs and soothing a lot of the pain within themselves. They're doing it themselves. The people that have the strongest boundaries are the people that have the strongest self-esteem. The people that truly, truly have found a lot of self-love, who are there for themselves, that has learned how to regulate themselves emotionally. So what's happening is that you've reached a place where you're not okay with this type of behavior from someone. And you've done the bravest thing ever, which is to go, that is not okay, I'm done. And then now what's happening is all of the parts of you that have been being soothed from this external person are now coming up, and you're starting to feel the pain that was being soothed by this person, by your husband. And that's going to bring up doubt. It's going to bring up so many kind of logical reasons of why we need to just go back so then we can soothe this pain. And that's what it is. It's the pain. Now, if you think about it, if you didn't have that pain and you learned to soothe that yourself, what would you do? Would you go back to that unhealthy behavior? Would you be okay with it? And, some people might go, yeah, well, he's starting to change it. It's not as black and white as that. But my advice to you is Learn how to soothe that pain yourself. Learn how to start giving that love to yourself. We should never look externally for love in terms of starting that love. So I always talk about it like a tap of love. So the tap of love is how I receive love in this life. Now, if my tap of love is externally from me, then I'm constantly going to other people with my cup. Like, can I have some of your love? Can I have some of your love? But then if I turn that tap on within myself, then I've got that within myself. And then other people can come and add to my cup. So then if those other people were to leave, I would still have that within my own self, within my own cup. And that is what leads us to not abandoning ourselves, to be able to have strong boundaries. And the universe is a mirror of you. So at that stage, it will go, you know, I can see you have strong boundaries. I can see that you're not okay with terrible behaviors and, you know, you just want, you're loving yourself. So I'm going to mirror that. And that's how we will meet someone or get a version of someone that can love us for who we are. And we can authentically be ourselves. And that's going to be the highest vibration any human can get to, is authenticity. That's when everything starts coming in. That's when you'll be able to experience that yourself. I hope that helped. Unloved child repeats in relationships, needy, how to love yourself, even alone, to stop desertion. I'm not sure if there was a question in that. If there was, just please ask again. Hello, Karina. I am my deepest appreciation for this process you're teaching us. So, oh, thank you so much, J Bean. I appreciate it. This process you teach has helped me know myself and heal. Amazing. I love it so much. Sometimes it takes to get into the journey backwards to understand why we choose the partner. Absolutely. And honestly, the more and more we go towards... So I was actually... even though we know these things, like we hear all the time, I was shown truly the mirror of reality and how that works. And it's phenomenal because I do this work, I'm constantly growing. We all are. And you will see, like, oh, some people will come into your life, then go out, and other people will come in and go out. And your personal progression, your journey of progressing will, like, let's say if you're at this level, these people vibrate at this frequency, so then they'll come in. And then as you're progressing, then they'll go out, and then other people will come in, and then they'll go out, and other people will come in. And, you know, until we were on this journey of awakening, let's say we were here, and our previous partner, that it was the mirror to all of our wounds, came in there. And the more that we're going to progress, whether they progress or not, we're going to be attracting and mirroring people that can be there for us, that can be who we are to ourselves. So if I'm someone who has learned to stop abandoning myself, which means so many different things, I'm not going to allow people to treat me in a way that I don't want to. I'm not going to take myself to places that I don't want to really go. I'm not going to please others for the sake of myself. Another very powerful way that we abandon ourselves is through rejecting how I feel. So if I'm constantly coping with how I feel, that's a form of abandonment. If these parts of myself are trying to get my attention by constantly coming up, and I can feel the fear coming up, and I can feel the anger coming up, and I can feel the despair coming up, and I'm constantly like, no, I shouldn't be like that. No, I shouldn't feel like that, because the spiritual community tell me everything's love and light, and I shouldn't be angry, and my childhood has taught me that anger is bad, so I will not be angry. That's fucking self-abandonment. And then we're attracting people that will abandon us. And we're like, oh, well, what's happening there? Why am I attracting the people that abandon us? Because you're abandoning yourself. You're abandoning how you feel constantly. You're abandoning your anger. You've been taught that anger is bad. So you're constantly, hey, I'm on live. I'll be 10 minutes. Okay. You're constantly abandoning how you feel. You're not allowing yourself to feel the anger. You're not allowing yourself to, it's not okay for you to be angry. That belief that it's not okay to be angry is a self-abandonment. So you will attract people into your reality that will abandon you because you're abandoning yourself. So it's all about learning how you are treating yourself. How you treat yourself is how the universe will mirror that to you. That's why when you're on the journey of healing, truly on the journey of healing, and I don't mean like just going to sound baths and doing Reiki and things like that. Like, these are all tools, and you know, they have their place and everything, but true healing is to go into inwards, is to become self-aware, is to feel the emotions, is to integrate along with doing all of the other tools. But the people that are, especially in the spiritual community, that go deep into, you know, everything is love and light and you shouldn't be angry and things like that, that's not how reality is going to mirror to them, because that whole blessings and everything, that's a huge self-abandonment. It's in a self-abandonment. If everyone's like positive vibes only and things like that, then you're abandoning all of the parts of yourself that don't feel positive, that are fucking angry, that have a lot of fear. So your reality will mirror that to you. Okay, I do have about 8 minutes left, guys, so I'm going to try and go through how to be empathetic with a trigger received when you're triggered first. How to be empathetic with a triggered receiver when you were triggered first. Well, yeah, so you're saying if you're triggered and then someone else is triggered, how to be empathetic with that. You see, that question is kind of like a self-abandonment again. It's like, how can I be empathetic with the other person? Well, what about you? You can, I'm not saying don't be empathetic. You can absolutely be empathetic, but your empathy needs to also come with acknowledgement that, hey, we're both being triggered. We both need to take accountability. And if the other person isn't going to be on that same level as you, then there's questions to ask yourself. Like, why am I okay with the other person not to be on that level with me? Maybe away from our triggers, when everything's okay, we can bring up the conversation of, hey, I've noticed that when we're triggered, we kind of, our communication drops off and we're not the best at communicating. So let's put something into place, and we both need to become aware. Maybe that's even a code word. This is what I do with my partner sometimes. Sometimes we have a code word. And I'm like, okay, if one of us feels like we're just kind of losing the point of the discussion and we're not able to communicate with each other, let's use this code word. And that code word instantly snaps us both into, okay, well, hang on. Okay, so we're going to become self-aware and we're going to understand and we're going to observe. We're going to go like this. Okay. And it depends on what levels we're doing that, what we're talking about, what's being triggered. But the goal isn't to just be empathetic to triggers. The goal is to be able to learn how to communicate with each other. And that requires both sides. If both sides are not communicating in a way that you're able to get that communication through, it's not going to work. So I suppose to a degree, the way you can be empathetic towards each other is through observation and understanding. If you're just the individual and you're thinking, okay, I want to be empathetic to anyone, that might be triggered. You can observe. Observation is a very, very strong way of doing that, but don't discount your place in this as well. Don't discount your needs of, hey, I was triggered first. Let's also discuss my shit, what I want to, what I was feeling, how I am feeling, what's going through and what's going on within my internal world, in my internal system. You said this as well, which got me here. And honestly, like, communicating is the key to everything in relationships, but we have to learn how to communicate. We have to learn how to communicate in different stages of an argument or relationships as well, whether that's with your romantic partner, whether that's with a sibling, whether that's with a caregiver or whatever. And the best forms of communication are when both people are able to take accountability, not blame. And as a person is taking accountability, the other person needs to also understand, I've got to stop blaming. I can still make a point without blaming, because the blame is what makes someone super defensive. So I can be like, hey, you did this and you did this and you did this, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. That's very different to, when you did this, it made me feel like this. And those energies will have a completely different reaction. Even if you go, when you did this, this made me feel like this. And there's like, hey, but it's not my fault. It can be followed up with like, I understand. I'm just telling you my experience, and I'm just telling you how I feel and how it made me feel. Learning, both of you, how to take accountability is huge. Okay, I've got literally like 2 minutes left, so I'm just going to smash through these comments and see if there's anything. Oh, hello. I've got a little poochie. Hang on. Say hi to the pooch. Come here. Come. Come say hi to everyone. Say hi. Say hello. I know. Oh God, your breath stinks. Okay, we got 2 minutes left. Everyone's saying thank you. I'm very, very grateful for you guys. Thank you so much. I think there's a lot of comments here. Thank you so much, guys. I think with the very limited amount of time I've got left, I'm just going to say thank you, everyone, for your support. It's honestly been the best thing ever. And oh my God, yeah. Thank you again for all the kind words. I always try and reply to everyone. I just can't right now, but I will constantly keep trying. Yeah, we'll try it together, won't we? Yeah, we're constantly trying. So if you do comment on my post and I don't reply, just know that I'm very, very grateful. Thank you so much, guys. And again, thank you very much, guys. I will start doing more lives. And I think I'm going to do a live on my Instagram as well. So follow my Instagram. And if anyone wants to go deeper into this, further into this, I've got a free masterclass you can take that goes deep into, I teach you the 3 steps behind my inner awareness framework that everyone is, all of my students are using to be able to heal and integrate and everything that we talked about today. This is why I created it, because every single conversation I have always leads to this and everything. And I'm just trying to create something to help you guys. So if you are interested in that, just click the link in the bio or the description and it will take you to my links page. And there's a part that says free masterclass as the label. Click on that. Just go and learn about it more. There's constantly content in there. I hope that helped. I do need a drink. My voice is completely going. So thank you again, guys. Much love, and I'll see you later.